Okay, Mr. President, board members, Madam Student Trustee, it's my pleasure tonight to make this presentation. It's a very important topic for our community and our board. It's called The State of the District Facilities Now and the Needs in the Future, because we need to have a real conversation about where we stand in terms of finishing our high school and the Hanson School construction project. So the first part is about terms. It's important because they're all interwoven throughout the second half of the presentation. So I've tried to take these terms and work them into workable words and definitions. So Mello-Roos Tax Community Finance District, better known as a CFD, state matching funds, developer fees, shortfall funding, mitigation agreement, Community Master Plan, and Exhibit B are all going to be discussed, hopefully in slightly non-boring terms. I also want to point out that the finances, the numbers in terms of the costs, have either been rounded up or rounded down for simplicity. The idea is to understand about where we stand, not to get every penny exactly correct. So a Mello-Roos tax is a tax that's imposed to finance major projects. Schools are often funded through Mello-Roos taxes. This community and their community master plan is built around the Mello-Roos tax for our K-8 schools only, and that's the mechanism to pay for approximately 75% of the schools that we construct. The other thing our community needs to know is with a particular set of language in some of our CFDs, we have approval to take additional funds once a project is done and apply them to other projects in the district, capital-like projects. And finally, the term that comes up, special tax, is a synonym to Mello-Roos taxes. But this is an important part of the presentation tonight, is the way we fund our K-8 schools, at least 75% of them. The CFD, Community Finance District, is the mechanism where the taxes are paid. It acts like an escrow account. The money goes from the taxpayer to the county to pay the bill, and we presently have 3 CFDs that exist in our district. The 2002 series, which is paid for the building of Wickland, Bethany, and Altamont. The 2007-1, which paid for Cuesta, and this board approved last spring in 2014 one for Neighborhood C, Hansen Elementary, and Neighborhood D, which is undeveloped community property to the southeast of our high school, which is annexable into the CFD. State matching funds. This is a very serious term for the entire community. State matching funds is tied to state construction bonds, which are voter approved through a ballot. The last state matching, or the state funds bond was Proposition 1D, was passed in 2006. All of those funds have been identified for use, and so there is no current existing state construction bond to support state construction bond projects for schools. In spite of that fact, our district is working through a process. It's a long, cumbersome paperwork trail to get on the state matching funds list for when the next state construction bond is passed. So we are near completion of that process, so that when the decision's made to build Hansen Elementary School, when we get on that list, we'll be able to bring funds to support the building of our schools. Developer fees, another very crucial term. A developer fee is a long-term loan. It's paid back to developers at an interest rate. The present interest rate that is tied to our developer fees is Marshall Swift Index, and it presently sits today at 2.2%. The way the developer fee works is a developer puts up money up front. It helps for a major project. Mountain House High School was paid for significantly with a developer fee. The fees are assigned to purchase lots, and they're paid back over the development of a community over the long-term period. So developer fees, again, are a long-term loan where developers are paid back interest over the development of the community. How does a developer fee work? So for Mountain House High School, we were given the long-term loan of $52 million as part of the Phase 1 and Phase 2 construction of what we have currently at Mountain House. So we looked at the average number of lots sold over the last 4 years, and it's approximately 250 lots. So if 250 lots are sold per year at the fee amount, which is approximately $5,900, To pay off $52 million plus 2.2% interest is approximately 32 to 35 years if you figure in the ebbs and flows of housing markets. As of March 2015, the master developer of our community has been paid back just under $5 million for its long-term loan called the developer fee to our Mountain House High School project. Shortfall funding, which it works similarly to developer fees, but it comes with some rules. So let's say you have a project that you have the money to build through mellow roof taxes, let's say, and you can get it 75% done. If there's no state matching funds or ways to finish the project, and after all state, federal, and CFD identified funds are used, you can claim a shortfall, and the developers can put in the money to finish the project. They get paid back through a combination of, or one of the three of the following: mellow roof taxes, developer fees, or state funds.
Hey, Kurt, Dr. Nicholas, do you want questions? Will you entertain questions slide by slide, or do you want us to wait till the end?
Let's wait till the end, just because this is essentially trying to give, it turns into gobbledygook if we don't get a little bit of terminology out there. So this isn't really the presentation, this is the pre-presentation. So, all right, so mitigation agreement. There are presently two that are work within our community, but basically they set the rules, the procedures, and the responsibilities for the impact development has in a community. The mitigation agreements we have is one from 1998, which was originally signed with Trimark, who was the original master developer. Then that shifted to Shea when they took over that role. Shea is now out, and now it's Mountain House Developers, LDC. The second one was signed in 1998 with Tracy Unified. It's a much smaller, it has a much smaller impact on us, but there are two. Community master plan is what drives our master plan community. It defines the provisions and phases of how things work. All of the things listed there, from the village concept to how water works, garbage, the town center, all the things are defined, and that was work done in 1994 that still drives our community plan. And that is overseen through the county. And finally, in the definitions and terms, Exhibit B. It seems unimposing, Exhibit B, but it is really a crucial document, and it really defines what we do. It's a school's facility phasing schedule. It's the guiding document. It applies to the map, the facility's costs and design. It's based on student thresholds of student population, and it's adjusted annually. So as villages get developed, i.e. Neighborhood C, then funding mechanisms and how things go apart or go forward to fund schools and take care of our district come into play. It's a very important document. So if you take a look here at the map, CFD represents this, a CFD represents this, and a CFD represents this. But Mountain House, the master plan, defined how all this was created and will continue to be created over the long-term project that is Mountain House. So you have 6 schools in our district. The first was established in 1876. I have no idea how it was paid for. That was 139 years ago. But we do want to say congratulations. They did a heck of a job. I understand the building's in a park in Tracy now.
If I remember right, it was through a bond.
I can't tell you because I looked this up. Ulysses S. Grant was president at the time. So
correct. Because you remember.
He does. You voted for him too.
So in terms of the other Mountain House-based schools, Wickland came forward in 2004 with a CFD and developer fees. Bethany was with the same CFD and state matching funds. Cuesta, CFD 2007-1, state matching fees. Altamont Elementary, 2002. There are state matching fees or funds that we have not received that have been identified. And Mountain House High School Phase 1 and Phase 2, the beautiful facility that we have now, was built as a result of developer fees, a mitigation agreement with Tracy, and state matching funds. So let's take a look at where we're at. Our district's 6th elementary school. This is the mock-up design from our architects that's been approved, and this is already through DSA approval and all of those steps, but that's what it would look like. How would we pay?
Could you mention what DSA is?
Oh, the Department of School Architecture.
Thank you.
So funding of a Hansen Elementary. Right now, there's no construction date. Nothing's been identified, but I think we have a little over 10 students who now reside in Neighborhood C and attend other schools. And I believe there are already 120 lots sold or buildings built in that neighborhood. So it's important to start planning ahead. So the approximate cost today to build, or in 2014 to build Neighborhood C School Hansen, would be $32 million. So the Mello-Roots taxes that can be raised in that community is approximately $22 million, and that would go into the CFD from 2014. So to build the beautiful, amazing schools that we have to do the state matching fund so that takes our $22 million and makes it $32 million. So there are two processes. One is the one that I just explained to you, which is we have to get state construction bond money as the state match to finish building the school. Our present dilemma is there is no state construction bond with monies to be identified. So we're doing everything we can through our due diligence. We're getting the paperwork in, we're going to get on the list, and I have further information about the details of that, but it's important to understand state match and state construction bonds are married. We also have to be identified for funding, and we get on a list. That list is where we rank to get funded. If we were to need to build Hansen Elementary and we weren't able to access state matching funds, that would be an opportunity for us through the steps that I described of using up all the CFD funds, state and federal monies, and we could declare shortfall and go to the master developer and ask for shortfall funding in which they would give a loan essentially to finish the school, and they would be paid back through Mello-Roos funds or the other funding mechanisms. So, moving from Hansen to Mountain House. Phase 1 and Phase 2. This is one of the renderings of our beautiful high school. Phase 1 and Phase 2. This is a real picture of our beautiful high school, and that's part of Phase 1. So let's talk a little bit about Mountain House High School. So it was completed for approximately $93 million, Phase 1 and Phase 2. Phase 1 was essentially the planning costs, admin building, multi-use room and gym. Phase 2 was the sports fields, stadium, and classroom wing. Developer fees, the long-term loan, is $52 million of that $93 million. The mitigation agreement from Tracy, which was an accrual of funds picked up from commercial and residential development and tied to the Tracy mitigation agreement, $11 million, and state matching funds of $30 million. So what we have, we bought for $93 million, and those are the funding mechanisms. And the developer will, over the next 30 to 35 years, be paid back plus interest that $52 million. So what's not built? A theater, a library, the Aquatic Center, a Vocational Ed Building, and some ancillary projects such as a snack bar restroom in the stadium, field house, and tennis courts. So here's a picture of our theater today.
Beautiful.
It's a lovely bark.
It is very water efficient as it stands right now.
Warms my heart.
And this is an architectural rendering of what the theater would look like.
I like that one
built.
better.
Beautiful.
I thought I heard some oohs and ahs.
Yes.
This is our library, the bark.
Another water conscious development.
Energy efficient.
Yes.
And what the library, we're calling Library Media Center, would look like today, or when built. This is our Aquatic Center.
I think the other two were prettier.
It's true. I agree.
And what it would look like. And think, you got to think water polo, swim team, diving, youth, swim meets, people working out, all kinds of neat things. Vocational Ed Building today, it does have a pipe sticking out of the ground. That's the one development we've been able to do. And that's our architectural rendering. And the ancillary projects. So to the left is the restroom snack bar at the football stadium, and to the right are the tennis courts and field house. So what is this going to cost? Phase 3. The theater, which seats 524 seats, $9.8 million. These are all cost estimates from 2015. The Library Media Center, approximately $4.9 million. The Aquatic Center, $2.5 million. But I can tell you now that for cost-saving purposes, we would recommend that we put in solar heating to save our district long-term money over time. Vocational Ed Building, $2.7 million. The ancillary project's about 1.2, construction costs approximately 6.1, for a total cost of phase 3 in today's dollars of $27.2 million. Here is the very serious point, one of them. The annual cost escalation is approximately 5% per year annually of making the prices go up. So $27.2 million in 2015 is 5% more expensive in 2016, and so on and so on. And the other thing I can say is that the Bay Area real estate boom is also a construction cost boom, and we are an exurb of the San Jose Valley. Therefore, the construction costs are applied to us that are applied over the hill, and not if we went east. So it's a very serious matter, the cost escalation accrual. So this is really the final point, and I say this to our board and our community. In order to finish our high school, and I need to pause for a moment, I need to say very clearly, there is no funding. There's no funding mechanism that exists. And if we want to finish our high school, we have to have a very serious conversation. So let me tell you where we stand right now. The master developer is not going to put forward developer fees as a long-term loan to pay for the finishing of that $27 million in construction for our high school. 2, our governor, in spite of unanimous state legislature support from both parties, blocked a state construction bond from 2014, and he does not support a 2016 state construction bond. As a counteroffensive to that, California Schools Boards Association and the Coalition of California Adequate School Housing have joined together to put on the ballot a state initiative to raise money for state construction bonds straight to the voters for approximately $9 billion. They're in the signature collecting phase, and they seem to be, they're going to meet the mark. So a state construction bond will only happen in 2016 if the initiative goes forward. The governor has said no. Sponsorships. Corporations are not investing in public schools. And finally, I talked about the state match, and I tied to one of them, one of our schools, Altamont, that the state match that's promised to us, which is approximately $10.6 million, is stuck at the state until a state construction bond is passed. When it is passed and our term on the ranking list comes forward, that money will be released to us. So to not be the bearer of bad news, I need to say, and in all candor, there is no funding mechanism to finish phase 3 of our high school. And the money that we have available to us has to come forward through a state construction bond passing by the voters. And so with that said, we have some beautiful plans for an elementary school and the best high school construction project in the state of California. And at present, this is the state of our district and facilities.